I have started filming this a little bit too late, so I need to run out of the house very soon. And this room is well over 30 degrees at the moment. So, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be a very quick catch up. I wanted to talk about what is going on with the channel, what my plan is for the future, what happened with 75 Booked, and then I have my August TBR in front of me. I have, I want to say, a small book haul. It doesn't look like a very small book haul. It's a compilation of several small book hauls that have ended up in quite the stack bigger than I thought it would be. So we're going to talk about that. And yeah, welcome. So 75 Booked. If you have seen the intro or the first two vlogs, you would have seen that I had quite spectacular plans. I I was quite optimistic about how much I would be able to accomplish throughout that challenge. It was supposed to be 85 days from sort of the second week of June up until the very end of August or maybe the middle of June. And I have set myself quite, I don't want to say unachievable goals because they are very much achievable, but they were incredibly optimistic. And I guess I didn't take into the account some of the things that were happening in my life that would have inevitably affected the success of that challenge, I guess is the best way to put it. So once I started, I have set myself a goal of 100 pages per day. I was going to go on, I want to say, 3 walks per day. And I was just going to really focus on things that were important to me. And they were important to me. But unfortunately, at the start of this summer, I have started struggling with my mental health a fair bit. Not something that I have experienced in the same format before. So I wasn't really familiar with it. I didn't really know, I guess, what to do with myself. So reading was just about the last thing that I wanted to do. I was still focusing on my hobbies and I was doing my absolute best to still continue reading, and I did. But my goal of 100 pages per day became, I want to say, unachievable just because I am a pretty slow reader. I work a 9 to 5. I have other hobbies. I do my absolute best to stay social. So to find the time to read 100 pages per day, which depending on a book can be anywhere between 2 and 3 hours, was quite the challenge. So the first week was not amazing. I spoke about it in my first vlog. Oh, and the other challenge that I set for myself was to film weekly vlogs, and that was something that I was really excited about and quite eager to do. But in the combination of my mental health not being exactly what I wanted it to be, and me not being able to reach the goals that I wanted to reach, filming vlogs to that extent, especially because it's not something that I'm used to, became another challenge. And then me having the personality that I have, the challenges that I couldn't achieve felt like failures rather than something that needed to be adjusted for my personal life. So eventually, I guess the best way to explain it, I just lost interest and then I stopped filming vlogs. And then I sort of tried to get back into it, but I didn't really want to anymore. So I decided that 75 Booked is, for all intents and purposes, cancelled. But I did discover that I actually quite enjoy filming vlogs and I quite enjoy posting them as content and editing them as content. So for the future of this challenge, I actually plan on starting monthly TBR challenge ish vlogs. But I've been thinking a lot about how I want to approach it because I am not drawn to random number generators or TBR wheels or pulling out a random book out of the jar. I am quite the mood reader. I will fixate on wanting to read very certain books and then I don't really want to read anything else. So I would be in a situation where I'm pulling books out of the jar and finding reasons why I don't want to read them and having to redraw them, and that sort of defeats the purpose. So I know that I wouldn't enjoy that, so I know that I would definitely not stick with that. But the thing that I thought I might stick with and the thing that I thought I might enjoy is sort of prompt cards. There will be just sort of pieces of paper that I have folded and put in a jar. I will pull them out, and then depending on the prompt or the theme, I will then be able to select a book depending on what I fancy reading. So I feel like that is a combination of forcing myself to pick from a specific category, but then also giving me the freedom to select whatever I want to select. And at least at the moment, I have put down, I want to say 22 categories, and they're very different. They're from just being specific genres like mystery and thriller, because I don't read them very often, romance, which then would include romance fantasy as well, classics. So the genres that I'm drawn to the least, but then also categories like series that I own more than one unread book in, or author that I loved and have read one or two books from and then never revisited their writing for no reason whatsoever, but I have these books on my shelf, or author that I have never read, but for whatever reason I have several physical books on my shelf. And then things like highest rated books or lowest rated books, or books that have been in my TBR for the longest, or books that I have just added to my TBR, or books from different subscriptions, like I'm subscribed to the Broken Binding, sci-fi, and fantasy. And I have to admit, I don't think I have read a single book that I have received, and I have been subscribed for almost a year now, which is embarrassing. And it's the same story with Goldsboro special editions. I own quite a few. I love to buy them. I am subscribed to Fellowship still. I am planning on canceling it, but I don't read them. I just collect them. It's the same story with Fairy Loot, Epic Fantasy. You get the idea. So I want that push to sort of prioritize those books for that vlog. And then I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to approach the quantity. I have two options. It's either going to be I pull the prompt and then I pull the number, and the number would be between 1 and 4 because I don't think I can fit more in, considering that I still have my book club books that I need to focus on. And sometimes there's just very specific books that I want to read for whatever reason, and I don't want to be in a situation where I have to pull the prompt to be able to read those books. That seems a little bit silly to me. So 4 books is just about the maximum of what I can read in a month in that vlog. Some months it's going to be 1 or 2 books, some months it's going to be 4, maybe 5, who knows, depending on a month. But I still haven't decided whether I'm going to force myself to read a specific number, or if I'm just going to draw a prompt and then for that month I'm going to follow that prompt, or if I'm going to mix and match prompts. So, for example, if I pull, I don't know, let's say a series that I own more than one book in and haven't read, and then I read the first book in a series and I own all 3, but I don't like the first book, do I then want to jump and try another series, or do I then want to just draw a new prompt and just try a different prompt? Or, for example, if I draw a specific genre like mystery and thriller, I don't really want to read 3 or 4 mystery thrillers in 1 month because that's just too many. I own a couple, I don't read them that much. They are my sort of palette cleanser genre, I guess. But then I could, for example, draw another prompt and read from another prompt and mix and match them. I think I'm going to have a bit of a vibes approach to it. I don't think I'm going to have very strict rules. I am truly just trying to find something that I would really enjoy as this sort of a TBR challenge, because I do want to tackle my physical TBR. I just find it hard to make myself super interested in specifically that because I love buying books. So I'm trying to find something that would interest me enough that I don't crave purchasing new books. I'm making it sound like it's a problem. It's really not. But with that said, just having a challenge to read my physical TBR does not make me not buy any new books. So I don't think I'm going to go back on a no buy, but I will definitely stay on a low buy. I have purchased a few books in the last, I would say it's probably been a month and a half, almost 2 months. This is a few too many for how many I would have wanted. So I will figure out whether I want to put spending limit on, or maybe a number of books, let's say 3 or 4 per month, or maybe some sort of a challenge where if I read 2 books, I get to buy one. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still thinking about how I want to tackle that, but I definitely want to create a more healthy purchasing habits for myself where I'm not drawn to buying books all the time because I don't have the budget for that and I don't have the space for that. And then apart from that, there's still going to be monthly TBRs, there's still going to be monthly wrap ups. I am still going to be posting new releases videos. The new one is about to go up today, actually, right after I finish filming this. But these are definitely still going to stay on my channel. I want to revisit book reviews. I used to love doing those. I sort of stopped. I think I've had this preconception that they have to be about new books or hyped books. I think I might just do it for books that I either enjoy or just want to talk about. I quite enjoy making book review videos. People quite enjoy watching them. So I think I'm definitely going to revisit that format of the video as well. So with all of that out of the way, I thought I could talk about my August TBR. I have 4 books selected, and to be fair, 2 of them are partially read. Well, to be quite honest, one of them is almost finished, so I might as well just start with it. And the book that I'm talking about is Shroud by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It is my book club selection for this month, so I need to finish it before whichever August. And I have, I think, just over 50 pages left. I read a big chunk of it yesterday. It was really hard to get into, but I am really, really enjoying it. Shroud is an alien planet that humanity has discovered, and now they're sort of just researching it. And our main characters are scientists being put in a pod. Well, one of them is an engineer, and the other one is, I guess, a PR person, you could call them. They are the social interactions person, and they are being set in these pods onto the surface of Shroud to research the surface of Shroud out of these pods and collect some samples. And bad things happen, so they end up stranded and left and alone, and they're trying to make their way back to the ship. And it's just a story about what happens to them, how the journey goes, and the alien life that they discover and how they interact with that alien life was really hard to get into. I was really struggling for the first 100 pages, but once I did, this has been incredibly enjoyable to the point where I am very, very eager to read more from Adrian Tchaikovsky. I went to an author talk with him and I really enjoyed listening to him, so I'm quite curious about some of his series. He has written a lot of stuff. And then the other book that I have in progress is actually one that I'm buddy reading with my boyfriend who doesn't read a lot of fiction, so I am always incredibly happy when he does. And this was a book that I have purchased for him and actually got the author to sign specifically dedicated for him. And then I also own a second edition that is a Broken Binding special edition, and it's Between Two Fires by Christopher Buhlman. I am just about 150 pages in. I think he's closer to 200 pages. He reads about a chapter a night, so then I wait for a couple of chapters to catch on because I don't really like reading one chapter per day. I kind of like reading it in chunks. I'm really enjoying this. This is a historical fantasy horror, probably is the best description. It talks about the period of Black Plague, and it touches up a lot on religion and kind of makes a bit of a mockery of religion. So in the plot of this, the heaven has sort of gone to sleep. Nobody's responding, and the angels don't exist. God doesn't exist. So the devils are roaming the earth and doing a bunch of nasty things, and the plague is probably the nastiest of them. And our main characters are Thomas, who is, well, he used to be a knight, still sort of is, and then we have a girl that he finds on one of his unfortunate adventures, and they are also then being joined by a priest. And as a party of three, they sort of travel through France trying to reach their goals. That is about as much as I currently know. It's definitely interesting. There's some parts of it that read a little bit like a fever dream, though I do think that that's intentional. It's quite grim dark. Somebody then later compared this to Joe Abercrombie, and 100% I can see the comparison. If I had known that this is similar to Joe Abercrombie, I would have jumped on this a lot quicker because Joe Abercrombie, is one of my favorite writers. Really enjoying this, do highly recommend. And then the other two are my book club books for September. And I am a part of technically three book clubs. Two of them are mine. And one of them is a book club where we read series together. And the second series that we have selected to read together is a Bloodsworn Saga. And we are on book three. In September, we're going to be discussing book three, which is The Fury of the Gods. I really enjoyed the first two books. The second one was probably one of my favorite books that I have read this year or maybe ever. I am a huge fan of characters. I love John Quinn's writing. I love the story. It's Norse gods inspired. You have very powerful female characters, very interesting gods that are quite selfish and quite self-absorbed. And so yeah, I'm really enjoying the story. I'm really enjoying the writing. It's surprisingly easy and quick to read despite the size. These are quite chunky books. So really looking forward to reading the very end of the saga, and then I will only have one trilogy left from John Gwynne. So I am looking forward to reading all of his works and potentially deciding whether he is actually my favorite writer. He's quite comfortably sitting in, I would say, my top three. And then the last book is for my other book club, which is just a fantasy and sci-fi book club that I lead. And in September, we will be discussing Death of the Author by Nnedi Okorafor. This has been nominated for quite a few awards. I'm not entirely sure whether it won. I want to say it won Either Locus or Nebula. I might be wrong on that though. But this is a sci fi story of the death of the author. This is about as much as I know. I don't really want to know more before I dive into it. I quite like diving into books blind, and this is definitely one that has been intriguing me for a while. I've had it on my shelf for since it has been released, and I've been eyeing it since it has been released. So I'm looking forward to reading it, looking forward to talking about it with my book club. So that was my TBR stack. My book haul stack is a fair bit larger, unfortunately. It probably shouldn't be, but I am going to try to rapid fire through it because I don't think there's a whole lot that I can talk about these books. Most of them were sort of just purchases of books that I was curious about. But to begin with, I have In Stormy Weather by Chelsea Courthough. I am not very big on reading romances, but this is a storm chaser romance, and I have never read anything like this or heard about anything like this. I'm quite fascinated by ideas of storm chasers. I could never be one. But reading a romance in that setting sounds quite interesting. I don't know how it's rated. I don't know whether people liked it or not. I'm sort of curious to go in completely blind because, admittedly, public's opinion does affect my opinion. So I'm quite excited for this one. And the next on the list is the book that came out, I believe, at the end of July, and it's Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim. I've heard really good things about it from a couple of people that I quite trust in their opinions, but I've also seen that the general rating on Goodreads is not super high. But this is a new sci fi where you can sort of split up from yourself and create your second self, and you choose to either stay in touch with your other self or not. And our main character moves from Korea to America, and then I believe her grandfather dies, and she had chosen not to keep in touch with her other self, so she didn't know what's happening with her other self and what's happening with that side of her life. So she's in America, enjoy her life, and then her other self contacts her to inform her of the death of a relative, and they reconnect. And I believe her old self is trying to take over her identity. I might be wrong on that, but it's something along those lines. So this sounds quite interesting. I am really curious about it, and I don't read sci fi super often, so I'm definitely very excited to read this one. And the next one was 100% just YouTube's influence. I had Becca talk about Juno Dawson's writing for a good while now. She seems to be a huge fan, or maybe not a huge fan, but quite the fan. I am not familiar with Juno Dawson at all, but she had come out with a new book this year called Survival Show, which I absolutely hate the cover. I think this is one of the worst covers that I have ever seen. This is YA, and this is sort of a mashup of Hunger Games and X Factor, which is quite a mashup. But this is a YA, I believe, sci fi about survival games. Quite an interesting concept. Curious to see how I like Juno Dawson's writing, so I decided to pick this up. And the next addition to my library is a thriller that I am, again, really excited about. And there is a pre story. So, Illumicrate has launched a new subscription box. It's a quarterly subscription of mystery and thriller. And I know I said that I'm not a huge fan of mystery and thriller, but the first selection was The Ending Writes Itself by Evelyn Clark, and I really enjoyed that book. So I saw that the second selection is Fellow Creatures by Emma Lothar. I hope that is how you pronounce the last name. And one, I love the cover, and two, the whole book sounds like a stalker fever dream. So I am quite curious. I just want to see what sort of books they would select for their subscription box. So I just wanted to pick this up and see if I like it myself. And if I do, then I might potentially subscribe to it myself. I'm not entirely sure. I was admittedly completely captivated by the special edition for this book. It is so incredibly gorgeous. I think Illumicrate did an outstanding job with it. So I want to know what this is about. I want to know what the subscription is about. Mystery and thriller is a genre that I quite enjoy when I read it, but I don't read it very often, if that makes sense. So I need motivation to read this. And then I also picked up Lost in Space by Rebecca Thorne. This is, I believe, book one in a new cozy sci fi series. It sounds charming and it sounds really fun, and it has really good reviews on Goodreads, so there was really no more reason for me to buy. This is why I picked it up. I think I will have a fantastic time with it, and I can't wait to read it. And the next one is somewhat of a similar story as to why I was motivated to buy this. And the book is Fishborn Cinderella by not Kim, Elizabeth Lim. And I believe this story has actually been inspired by either her grandmother's actual life story, either inspired or just based on. I'm not entirely sure which one. This has been getting incredibly good reviews, and I'm really curious to know what the hype is about. It's about 400 or 500 pages. It is historical fiction fantasy, I believe, set in 1940s Japan. Am I wrong on it being Japan? Either Japan or China. China. So yeah, I'm very excited for this one. It's a beautiful special edition with beautiful sprayed edges, so looking forward to reading this. And then I have two more books to talk about, and they're both from Broken Binding. And this one is the choice for sci-fi and fantasy subscription. I don't remember which month. I want to say June. Is it June? Does it tell me? Yes, June 2026. And this is absolutely gorgeous. This cover is gorgeous. This sprayed edge is gorgeous. It is The Heart of the Naga by Lee Young-do. This has been translated to English by Anton He. I don't really know what the book is about, but there's a dragon on the cover and it sounds really fun, or it looks really fun. I can't really say that it sounds really fun without knowing the synopsis. Look forward to picking this up. I have to find the time to pick up my subscription boxes because I just keep getting them and not reading them, and that's just not good. And then the very last one, but absolutely not the least one, is the book that I have been waiting for some time, quite some time. And it's A Snake Among Swans by Hannah Kaner. I went to the event in London Piccadilly with Hannah Kaner, Elodie Harper, Sarah Alarithi, and Holly Rice, and they were talking about Ruthless Queens and sort of why they select the main characters that they select and why do they write such strong female characters. And I absolutely loved the event. I loved Hannah. She's incredible. Sense of humor is amazing. She seems amazing, and she just seems like such a sweet human being. And I absolutely loved God Killer and that trilogy, so really look forward to reading this. From what I understand, this is going to be a series, and this is the first book of the series, but nevertheless, I am looking forward to reading this. I have had good reviews from people who have read this, so for all those reasons, I cannot wait. And I think that is it. That is my small book haul. This is more books than I thought it would be. It's how many is this? It's 8 books. 8 books in a month and a half. To be fair, I did when I was going on my Noba, I did say that I'm not gonna cancel my subscriptions and my pre-orders. So one of them is a subscription, one of them is a pre-order. The rest was I picked up a couple of books because I really wanted to, and then I picked up a couple more because I really wanted to. And that is sort of the purchasing habit that I need to fall out of. But this is my plan. I want to continue filming vlogs, and hopefully they will be interesting to watch. I will see what I want to do with prompts and how I want to approach it. I think this might be very much a trial and error situation, and I'm okay with that. I will see whatever format works best for me and is the most interesting for me to read in, to film, and then to edit and to post. I'm not as bothered about what works well with the audience. I've never really done anything on this channel specifically to attract different audience or specifically to gain a lot of views. I guess upcoming releases was something that I thought would do quite well, and it has. So I thought that that would be quite popular. But other than that, I just want to do things that make me happy, that work for me, work for my reading, work for my channel, and make me excited for filming videos and posting videos, because that is also a hobby of mine. I have been quite enjoying this experience of filming videos and posting videos and editing videos, so I want to continue enjoying it in different formats. So I'll see how the vlogs go. I will try to be on top of my uploading schedule, not that there is any strict schedule, but I did take over a month break and I try not to do that, but Life has just been a little bit of a roller coaster. Everything has been busy, and I was struggling with my health, so filming was not a top of my priorities in any shape or form. But I will do my absolute best to fix that. And if you like this video, please do leave a like. And if you want to see more of me in any shape or form, then please do subscribe. And I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.